In 2016, audiences around the world watched one of the scariest horror movies ever made. The film was The Conjuring 2. It told the terrifying story of a possessed girl, a haunted house in London, and a demonic nun known as Valak. But what makes the film even more disturbing is this: it was inspired by a real paranormal case. A case investigated by journalists, police officers, and paranormal researchers. A case that lasted for more than 2 years. This is the chilling true story of the Enfield Poltergeist. The story began in 1977 in Enfield, a quiet suburban area in North London. A single mother named Peggy Hodgson lived in a small council house with her 4 children. Life was not easy for the family. Peggy worked hard to support her children. The house was small, old, and ordinary. But everything changed one night in August 1977. Peggy heard strange knocking sounds coming from the children's bedroom when she walked in. The girls told her something terrifying. Their beds had been shaking. At first, Peggy assumed the children were playing tricks, but the knocking sounds continued, night after night, and soon the activity became impossible to ignore. Within days, strange things began happening throughout the house. Furniture moved on its own. Chairs slid across the floor, and loud knocking sounds echoed through the walls. The children were terrified. Peggy eventually called the police. When officers arrived, they expected to calm down a frightened family. Instead, one officer later reported something shocking. She claimed she saw a chair move across the floor without anyone touching it. This report was officially written down in the police report. Soon the story began attracting attention from journalists and paranormal investigators. The case quickly became one of the most talked about paranormal stories in Britain. Reporters from newspapers like the Daily Mirror visited the house. One journalist named Graham Morris claimed he saw objects thrown across the room. Photographers captured strange images of furniture moving. Some photos even appeared to show Jana floating above her bed. The house soon became crowded with investigators trying to understand what was happening, and the strange events continued. The most disturbing events focused on Jana Hodgson, who was only 11 years old. Jana began showing strange behavior. She sleepwalked. She spoke too. Invisible figures. And sometimes she spoke in a voice that did not sound like her own. During recordings, Jana spoke in a deep, raspy voice that claimed to belong to an old man named Bill Wilkins. According to the voice, he had died in the house years earlier. Investigators asked questions, and the voice answered. It described details about the house and its past occupants. Some witnesses believed Jana was truly possessed. Others believed she was somehow faking the voice, but the recordings still remain one of the strangest parts of the case as the case grew more famous. Many paranormal investigators visited the house. Among them were the well-known researchers Ed Warren and Lorraine Warren. The Warrens were already famous for investigating haunted houses and demonic cases. After learning about the Enfield events, they traveled to England to examine the situation. They believed the haunting might involve something darker than a simple poltergeist. According to them, the spirit speaking through Jana might only be a pawn for something more powerful there. Investigation later helped inspire the story told in The Conjuring 2. Despite the frightening reports, many skeptics questioned the case. At one point, investigators caught Jana bending spoons and attempting to fake certain events. Photographs also showed her jumping from her bed. Critics argued that the children were simply playing tricks, but supporters of the case pointed out something important. Not every event could be explained as a hoax. Over 30 witnesses claimed they saw or heard unexplained phenomena in the house. Police officers, neighbors, journalists. Even trained investigators admitted they had witnessed strange things they could not explain. The truth remains uncertain. Was the Enfield haunting a clever hoax, or something far more mysterious? Nearly 4 decades later, the story inspired the film The Conjuring 2. The movie added dramatic elements like the terrifying demon Valak and the Crooked Man. These characters were created for the film to increase the horror. But the core story of the Hodgson family and the strange events in Enfield was inspired by real reports. The movie became a massive success, earning more than $320 million worldwide and becoming one of the most famous horror films of the decade. Today, the Enfield Poltergeist remains one of the most debated paranormal cases in history. Some people believe it was a clever hoax created by bored children. Others believe the house truly experienced something supernatural, but even decades later. One thing is certain, the story continues to fascinate people around the world. Because sometimes the scariest horror stories are the ones that might actually be true.